It's 11:40 p.m. You feel the floor shudder beneath your feet. Nothing loud, no alarm, just a faint scrape somewhere far below, like a giant's fingernail dragged along the hull. You're 3 decks down in a bunk you've slept in for 4 nights now. And for a moment you think nothing of it. Ships creak. Ships hum. This one has hummed since Southampton. The steady heartbeat under your boots that you stopped noticing on the second day. Then the humming stops. You don't know it yet, but 260 feet away, an iceberg has just opened a gash along the side of the largest ship ever built. You don't know that 6 warnings about ice were sent to this ship today, and that not one of them reached the bridge in time. You don't know that in 2 hours and 40 minutes, this ship will be at the bottom of the North Atlantic, and that of the 2,200 people on board tonight, more than 1,500 will not see morning. All you know is that the engines have stopped, and that somewhere above you, people are starting to talk. But to understand how you got here, you need to go back to before any of this had a name. For days earlier, you were standing on a tender boat in Queenstown Harbor on the south coast of Ireland, looking up at a wall of black steel that seems to have no end. You have never seen anything built by human hands this large. Nobody has. This ship is longer than 4 cricket pitches laid end to end and taller than an 11-story building. And you paid £7 and 5 shillings for a third-class ticket that will take you further from home than you have ever been in your life. In your pocket is a train ticket stub from Cork, still creased from the journey to the harbor. You've kept it without really deciding to. It's the last thing that connects you to a farm you are not sure you will ever see again. You are 22. You are traveling alone. A cousin in New York has written twice now, promising work, promising a room, promising that a person can become someone new in that city if they are willing to work for it. You are willing. Third class on this ship is not what you expected. You expected crowding and dirt and the smell of coal. Instead, you find a clean cabin, share with 3 strangers who quickly stop being strangers, a dining saloon with tablecloths, and a steward named Thomas, who has a kind of Belfast accent that makes you feel for a moment less far from home. You'll want for nothing on this ship. Thomas tells you on the first night, setting down a plate in front of you, she doesn't sink. Build her myself. Near enough. You laugh, because everyone on this ship is saying some version of the same thing. Unsinkable. You've heard it from crew, from other passengers, from a newspaper someone left folded on a deck chair, 16 watertight compartments, doors that close at the flick of a switch. Enough engineering confidence that this ship carries far fewer lifeboats than passengers. Because why would you need more on a ship that cannot sink? By the 4th night, you know the sound of this ship the way you know the sound of your own breathing. You have learned which stairwell leads fastest to your deck, which table by the porthole catches the last of the evening light, and which of your 3 cabin mates snores loudly enough to wake the others. Small, ordinary knowledge, the kind that makes a stranger's ship start to feel like somewhere you belong, which is why, when the humming stops at 11:40, you notice it before almost anyone else in third class does. Before you go further, if stepping inside history like this is what you are here for, subscribe to POV Chronicles right now. Every story on this channel puts you inside a real moment from the past, researched carefully and brought to life with cinematic detail. Now back to the story. Earlier that evening, up on the bridge, a wireless operator named Jack Phillips is working through a backlog of passenger telegrams. Wealthy men and women on this ship want messages sent to New York, to London, to wives and business partners. And Phillips is paid by the word, which means every telegram matters more to him tonight than the ice warning that has just come in from a nearby ship. He clips it to a spike with the others. He does not walk it to the bridge. You know none of this. You are 3 decks below, finishing a dinner of mutton and boiled potatoes. Listen to Thomas tell a story about his sister in Belfast. And the sea outside is so calm that someone at your table jokes you could balance a coin on its edge on deck and it would not fall. It is unusually cold for April, colder than anyone expected this far south. The air has a kind of stillness that older sailors do not trust, though nobody at your table is an older sailor, and nobody thinks to ask why. At 10 o'clock, 2 lookouts climb into the crow's nest for their watch. They have no binoculars. The pair that should be there was packed away by mistake, somewhere in Southampton, with someone else's belongings. So they watch the black water with nothing but their own eyes, in a night with no moon, no wind, and no waves to break the water's surface white against a shape in the dark. You go to bed around 10:30. You do not remember deciding to. You remember thinking that tomorrow the ship reaches open Atlantic swells, and that you should sleep while the sea is still this calm. 2 decks above where you now lie, the wireless operator has one more ice warning waiting to be sent to the bridge. He never sends it. At 11:40 p.m., a lookout sees it first, a shape, dark in the water around it, directly ahead. He rings the crow's nest bell 3 times. Dead ahead, on the bridge, the officer on watch gives the order to turn hard and reverse the engines, and for 37 seconds, the largest moving object built by human hands tries to answer him. It almost works. The ship turns. The iceberg slides down the starboard side instead of meeting the bow head-on, and for a moment it looks, from the deck, like nothing more than a graze. A few chunks of ice tumble onto the forward deck. Some passengers who are still awake come out in their night clothes to kick pieces of ice around like children, laughing, taking pieces below as souvenirs. Below the waterline, it is not a graze. The iceberg has opened a series of gashes along nearly 300 feet of hull, tearing through 6 of the 16 watertight compartments the builders were so proud of. The ship was designed to survive 4 compartments flooding, not 6. You feel it as a shudder under your boots, and then as a stop, the humming you have fallen asleep to for 4 nights. Gone. You sit up in the dark. Your cabin mates are already awake, one of them laughing that they nearly fell out of their bunk. Nobody in 3rd class knows yet what the shudder meant. Above you, 2 floors of mail bound for New York are already sitting in 6 inches of seawater. Down in the boiler rooms, water is coming in through a gash the width of a man, faster than any pump on this ship can move it out. Stokers who were shoveling coal an hour ago are now wading through water up to their knees. Sealing what doors they can before the compartment behind them is ordered shut for good. Thomas finds you in the corridor a few minutes later, still in his white steward's jacket, and for the first time since you met him, he is not smiling. "Put your life belt on," he says, just as a precaution. You ask him if the ship is sinking. He does not answer. Within 10 minutes, the captain has the ship's designer on deck, going over a report from the carpenter about incoming water. The designer does the sums that no passenger on this ship has been given the tools to do. 16 watertight compartments were never the same thing as 16 boats worth of survival. The order goes out just after midnight. Uncover the boats. Get the women and children up. There are 20 lifeboats on this ship, built to carry just over 1,100 people. There are more than 2,200 people on board tonight. Nobody has told you that number yet. All Thomas tells you, appearing at your cabin door with a lantern and a life belt already buckled over his jacket, is that you need to come up to the boat deck now, and that you should bring nothing you cannot carry in one hand. You take the small leather case anyway. Your cousin's address is written inside the lid. The stairwell up from 3rd class is longer than you remember it being 4 days ago. Somewhere above you, a small orchestra has just begun playing the 1st class lounge, a light, unhurried tune meant to keep wealthy passengers calm, while stewards quietly clear breakfast rooms and knock on every 1st class cabin door. Nobody has come to knock on every 3rd class door yet. Some gates that separate steerage from the rest of the ship are still shut, because the rules that kept the ship's decks organized on ordinary days have not yet been told that tonight is not an ordinary day. Thomas gets you through one anyway. Argue with a crewman in a tone that needs no translation. On deck, the cold hits you first. Then the sound, not panic yet, just a low murmur of 2,000 voices asking each other the same question you asked Thomas an hour ago, and getting the same non-answer. An officer near the closest lifeboat is shouting the same 6 words over and over into a crowd that has not yet decided whether to believe him. Women and children first. You have less than 2 hours. By midnight, the first lifeboat has already left the ship, lowered 60 feet down the side with room for far more people than the 28 it actually carries. Nobody wants to be first. Nobody quite believes yet that the ship they were told cannot sink is the reason they are being asked to climb into a small wooden boat above black water. You do not know it yet, but that pattern, boats leaving half empty because passengers doubt the danger more than they doubt the ship, will repeat itself for the next hour on the side of the deck reserved for 1st and 2nd class. On your side, On the deck you have finally reached, there is no doubt left. The tilt under your feet has become impossible to ignore. Deck chairs are sliding slowly toward the bow. Thomas finds a place for you in the crowd near a boat being loaded by an officer enforcing the rule as strictly as he can. Women and children only on this boat right now. You are neither. You are 22 and alone, and for a moment you think this is where your story ends. On a tilting deck, watching other people's families rode away from you into the dark. Then a woman beside you, holding a child no older than 3, loses her grip on a second child's hand in the crush of the crowd. You catch the child before he falls. For a second, neither of you moves. He is small enough that you can feel his heart going through his coat, faster than yours. And you realize this is the first time in 6 hours that another human being has needed something from you rather than the other way around. The officer sees it, sees you holding a crying 6-year-old boy who is not yours, and waves you both toward the boat without asking a single question. You do not have time to explain that the boy is not yours. You do not have time to find his mother in the crowd behind you, though you scan every face you pass, calling out for her, getting no answer over the roar of steam venting from the ship's stacks, a sound so loud that Thomas has to shout directly into your ear just to be heard. "Get in," he says. "Both of you. Now." Your hand is already on the boat's edge when you feel the whole deck lurch beneath you. Harder than anything so far, a groan from somewhere deep in the ship that does not sound like it is coming from a machine anymore. It sounds like it is coming from something breaking. The lifeboat drops 40 feet, then 80, jerking unevenly because the ropes on one end are being lowered faster than the other. And for a few seconds, you're certain it will tip everyone into the water before it even reaches the surface. It does not. It levels. It hits water so cold it does not feel like water, closer to fire, according to everyone who has felt it and lived to describe it. You start rowing because someone shouts that you need distance, that when this ship goes down it could pull anything nearby with it. Behind you, the ship's angle in the water has gone past anything that looks survivable. Her stern is rising, slowly at first, then faster, until the propellers that once pushed the ship across the Atlantic are lifted clear into open air. Somewhere on those slanting decks, well over 1,000 people are still aboard. The lights stay on almost until the end. Engineers who will not survive the night keep the generators running so that the people still on deck are not plunged into total darkness while they decide whether to jump. Then, one by one, the lights fail, and a ship the length of 4 cricket pitches breaks apart under its own weight, the sound of it carrying flat across the water to every lifeboat within a mile. Then silence for perhaps 30 seconds. Then a different sound reaches you. Not the ship. Voices. Hundreds of them. In the water. Calling out into the dark. For the next hour, your boat drifts in near total darkness, when a 20 small wooden shapes scattered across miles of freezing water. Too far from most of the others to call out and be heard. Between them, they have saved barely more than 700 of the 2,200 people who started this voyage. You do not know that number yet. All you know, in this boat on this water, is that the calling voices around you are growing fewer and quieter and further apart. The boy in your arms has stopped crying. He is staring past you at the place where the ship's lights used to be and asks you, very quietly, if his mother got into a different boat. You tell him yes. You do not know if it is true. At around 4 in the morning, a light appears on the horizon. Not a star. A ship's light, growing brighter, moving with purpose rather than drifting the way debris does. It is a Cunard liner that received a distress call more than 50 miles away and altered course through an ice field at full speed the moment her wireless operator understood what he was reading. By the time she reaches your lifeboat, the sun still has not risen. You are pulled up a rope ladder onto her deck. The boy is still gripped against your side, and a stewardess finally takes him from your arms, checking names against a list that cannot yet know who survived. You find out 3 days later, on the dock in New York, that his mother made it into a different boat after all. You still have the small leather case. Your cousin's address is still legible inside the lid. More than 1,500 people did not survive that night. Just over 700 did. If this story made you feel like you were actually there, that is exactly what POV Chronicles is built to do. Subscribe right now and step into the next one with us. If your chest tightened when that deck lurched, hit like, tell us in the comments, if you've been holding that boy's hand. Would you have gotten in the boat? Let us know where you are watching from too.